What's going on, everybody? It's the Hook Cam back again with another film breakdown as the latest weird domino to fall in the NFC West happens as J.J. Watt signs a 2-year, $31 million deal with the Arizona Cardinals. NFC West, man, quickly becoming the most desirable division to be in. I think that's just because every one of those teams can be a contender. You know, whether it's the Rams picking up Stafford or the Seahawks are always in the mix with Russell Wilson, although he might end up getting dealt. It's just a weird division, yet every one of those teams is a contender. The Arizona Cardinals just adding to that fact with signing J.J. Watt. The Niners, who were in the Super Bowl, 2 years ago, all of a sudden are injury riddled and questions at quarterback, who's coming back, all of that stuff. So it's an interesting division, and it gets even more so with the acquisition of J.J. Watt with the Arizona Cardinals. So I'm going to go ahead and break that down, what I think he brings to the Cardinals defense, why they signed him, some of the deficiencies that Cardinals defense had last year, and how J.J. Watt helps out. Now, before I get into all of that, if you could hit that like button, hit that subscribe button to my channel, The Hook Cam, as well as the Jackson Kruger Sports. That would mean the world to both of us. Also, going to give a quick plug to my music guy, Max Keys. I'll put his stuff in the description below. So let's go ahead and dive into why and how J.J. Watt helps this Cardinals defense. First things first, J.J. Watt, former Defensive Player of the Year, on a weird team with the Houston Texans. Just ended up being a bad spot. A team that had so much hope, so much promise, is now lowly in the NFL without question. However, J.J. Watt can still play football. I mean, this dude can still ball. He's still a great athlete. We see him here cornering Lamar Jackson, chasing him down. We all know how elusive Lamar is. And J.J. Watt, like I said, he's still an outstanding athlete. He's a huge human being. He's outstanding in the pass game. I think that he's going to more so help out with the Cardinals with their run defense. And you can see right here, one of the biggest things that I noticed when just briefly going over Cardinals film was the fact that they were a little bit soft on the edges. And what I mean by that is that they were very easily, it was able to either reach them, to kick them out, right? They weren't super solid on the edges of their defense. That, I think, is where J.J. Watt is going to help out the most. We're going to see right here as the Titans try and get a little toss going, trying to get to the outside, right? We're trying to work this thing out here offensively. J.J. Watt does a great job setting that edge right there. You're not getting outside of that, forcing that thing back into the teeth of the defense. That's where I think he really helps more so than anything, is on setting the edge, right? He's such a huge dude. He does such a good job of getting in the right position. Nice wide base right here. Shed that block, work to the inside. We know that back's going to try and cut that thing up based off of where his cut is, right? Boom, right there. Working upfield and making a play on that thing. And like I said, J.J. Watt is by no means non-existent or non-impact player anymore on the defense. He's still a very, very good football player. Once again, we see right here, he's working on the left end of this thing. Like I said, great job on the edge, great swim move underneath. He understands where this gap scheme is getting played at. Not necessarily that the run's a gap scheme, but the gap scheme of this defense. He knows that he can work inside here because he's got this backer on the outside to help. Works upfield and then cuts inside of those two cats, works up and makes a play on Derrick Henry. And he had some very impressive performances against good offensive linemen. This play right here, one thing I do want to key on with J.J. Watt, he's got an outstanding nose for the football. Never mind how many times he can get up and deflect passes, which can really mess up a quarterback's rhythm. I'm a big quick game guy personally. If you can get into Q's head and you can start knocking balls down that are going to help get the ball out quick, that's always going to mess with an offense. Right here, like I said, great nose for the football. We can sniff this thing out. This isn't even necessarily a screen. I thought this was going to be a screen when I was watching this thing to start. He just does a good job of dropping back into a passing lane, forcing Philip Rivers to dump that ball off, and then he goes and makes a play on it. This right here, once again, he's working on the left side of our screen. The Colts are trying to run a little inside zone with a wham right here with their tight end. He stays nice and tight to this tackle, so there's really nowhere for this tight end to wham, and this ball's already facing the teeth of this defense. This is just a really good job by him. Very technically sound, understands the defense that he was in. I don't think that he's going to have any problem translating that to Arizona. I think he's going to be the exact same. And then right here, once again on the edge of this thing, we're trying to work a combo between tackle and tight end, working up to this backer. We work in between that, and that's really tough to do, right? Because that tackle is going to be aiming for you to help out with that tight end. He does a good job of working underneath on those two things. Shoulders are turned, which makes him skinny, right? Which is tough for this tackle to now get inside on that and help on that combo. Really, really tough for a tight end to go and block J.J. Watt in that situation. So we all see what he can do there. And then, in his pass rush game, right? I mean, big, powerful dude, very long arms, tough to get your hands on him. This is a great example of that. Not a great set by this tackle to start. He's going to put his inside arm right into the midline of this tackle and then just work him back on a bull rush, quickly sheds him, and then gets to the quarterback. He does stuff like this game in and game out, right? Which is why I think he's so valuable as a defensive player and why I think he's going to be super helpful for the Arizona Cardinals. Now, turning to some Cardinals film and where I think that they were deficient with their defense, they go back and forth. Idealistically, I guess they are a 3-4 team. However, you could see in a lot of times when they would get into their third down defense, they would go with a 4-man front. And they would have these two edge guys on the outside, and then they would align in some sort of over or under front underneath that, right, with their two down defensive linemen. Now, this Cardinals defense, like I said, they have a lot of athleticism. They really do. And you look at their recent draft picks, right? Hassan Reddick was a little while ago, but Isaiah Simmons most recently. They have some serious athletic talent up front. However, they don't necessarily have the big dudes who are going to be able to take on double teams. Now, in a defense like this, I don't see J.J. Watt playing out here on the edges of this thing. It just doesn't fit with what they want to do. I think this is Marcus Golden on the outside, and then this is another athletic cat, blanking on his name right now. But where I think J.J. Watt fits in is really in a front like this is with this 3-tech right here. And what we see with this guard and tackle is great movement on this double team working up to this backer, right? I don't think that happens with a guy like J.J. Watt. He's a dude who can plug the holes in this thing. I don't necessarily think that he's going to play in this 1-tech. I could see them, if they want to go with a 4-man front, yes, you can play him on the edge, absolutely, if you want to put him down in a 3-point stance. But if they're going to play something like this, I see him being more in this 3-tech right here, which is where, like I said, this is where this cutback lane ends up, right? And we see this 3-tech right here just getting worked upfield right into the lap of this linebacker. This isn't a great job, right? Not at all by this defensive lineman. When you have a guy like J.J. Watt here, we all know what he's able to do and how big he is, and that's why I kind of mentioned his size and his athletic ability, is that he's not going to get moved like this by these two guys. Now, he's also stunting. I understand that he is stemming to that gap. However, he's putting himself in a bad position. J.J. Watt, I think, is going to be able to take on those double teams a lot easier than a guy like he would, and he's going to be able to not create gaps, but create a mess for these offensive linemen to try and work up to the second level with, right? We see that again right here. One thing that I notice a lot, and in the NFL this really can't happen, is defensive linemen getting beat one-on-one. And yes, a big part of that is the skill base of the offensive lineman across from you, absolutely. But we also know the athletic talent and the abilities of a guy like J.J. Watt. Stuff like this I just don't see happening. I don't see him kind of turning those shoulders like we see right here, because when you turn your shoulders when you're on the interior, right, now you're just making it easy for an offensive lineman to work up and for an offensive lineman to just take that block over. And we see Carlos Hyde just crease this thing for a big-time gain against the Arizona Cardinals in that situation. And like I said, this happened multiple times against this Arizona Cardinals front. It became pretty apparent to me in the short time that I'm watching film is that, offensive linemen didn't really have a lot of trouble going one-on-one with these defensive linemen up front. And obviously, J.J. Watt's going to help with that tremendously. If we see a defense like this right here, you're more, I wouldn't even call this more traditional 3-4, because there's still, I would really determine this as a 5-man front, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 right here. But idealistically, right, this is a 3-4. We're just bumped in right here because we have the strength of the formation to the side. Put him in a 3-tech, it becomes basically like an over front, a 5-man over, as I would see it. But what we see with this is, right, we're easy block right here. Easy job getting the reach on that guy and pushing him right out of the screen. We've seen what J.J. Watt can do. His technique on this is a lot of times flawless, right? He's a big dude, athletic. He's going to work to that midline right here. He's going to work his extension. He's going to be able to see into the backfield, create a pile, and then help get other backers there. And that's really what I kind of am talking about with J.J. Watt. Is he, superiorly athletic just one-on-one, and is he going to be able to make a play? Yes, absolutely. But at the same time, he also does a lot to help out everybody else on the defense. We see this situation right here, right? This guard is going to reach this 4-eye. That's really tough to do and should never happen, but that guard does it easily. With J.J. Watt there, I don't think that it happens that easily, and it's going to help other guys free up space and help them be able to make a play on that football. So anyway, guys, that's where I think J.J. Watt's going to help out this Cardinals defense. I think that he not only is, very talented one-on-one, but at the same time, he's going to be able to help everybody else on that defense. I think this is a great signing from the Cardinals. A team, like I said earlier in the video, that's got a ton of potential. Offensively, you look at the talent they have: Kyler Murray and Kenyon Drake and DeAndre Hopkins. Like, there's no limit to that talent. But defensively is where I really saw some deficiencies with them. Teams are able to hang on to the rock, put up points on that defense. It wasn't really a threat to anything by the end of the season. So I think that with signing J.J. Watt, with bringing, depending on who they draft, hopefully it frees up some stuff. Maybe we see a little bit more out of Isaiah Simmons in this next year. All in all, I think a really good signing from the Arizona Cardinals. So anyway, guys, that's all I got for you in this video. More stuff coming out in the week. Hope everybody's doing well. Stay safe. Wash those hands. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll be back in the week with some more content. See you next time.